This is the way of the blade. This is part 7, y'all. And if you've hung in there that long, you've gone through quite a crash course of the ups, downs, and ins and outs of things about knives and edgy things that most people just probably haven't informed you of most of your life. So today, we're going to be talking about sneaky blades and where to hide them. There's going to be a lot of dramatic effects when I pull blades out of places, like a sneaky person. But the reason we're going to talk about sneaky blades and where you can hide them is because, you know, there's a lot of folks out there who are facing imminent realities that you might no longer live in a permissive environment. A permissive environment. That is like a fancy smart talk man way of saying a place that allows you to live freely. Like to go about your business in an unmolested and just unharassed way. There's environments all over the world and all over our present land country states that definitely are changing. And when they're changing, sometimes you are no longer permitted to live the way you used to live. That's a serious challenge, and that's a major obstacle. And if you want to carry knives, which you should always carry a knife, see the said last 7 videos I've done this on, you should always try to carry your knife about your person as legally as possible within reason, because you also have a thinking ability that's very, very important. And you must use it to think about things like, should I be hiding sneaky blades on my person or not? Make good choices, yeah? It'll behoove you. So, before we talk about hooves, let's talk about different kinds of sneaky blades. I've shown you most of these already, so I'm probably not going to give you the crash course on what each of them is. But sneaky knives are there to allow you the ability to make sure your knife is not known about, or your tool, whatever. Remember, a knife is a tool. Legally speaking, these are always tools when we describe them to any kind of legal repercussions we may be encountering at a given moment. But some of you guys and gals woke up in a place where you are systematically hunted on a regular basis, like actually hunted. And because of that, you should find ways to get tools on your person that allow you the ability to maybe make it a not so awesome day for somebody else, should they hunt you without your agreement. Really, little tiny blades tucked away in little tiny pockets or crevices become what we call get off me tools. And that's the stuff in your kit that definitely allows you to make distance, or to maybe encourage somebody else to remember the fact that it's probably not a good idea for you to bother me. You know, just don't do it. But one of the principles comes with that is a mindset of, where can I put this knife? And that's half the fun, folks, because knives have all of those different things I talked about in previous videos, like holsters and mounting brackets and hardware and rivets and holes, and I don't know if those are called rivets. I can't remember. It's been a while since I made a holster. But they have mounting hardware and places that you can put the blade that allow you to attach. Ooh, just bumped the microphone. That'll probably sound terrible. But they have different ways of attaching to things. Like this is one of my absolute favorites ever. Like I said before, Bastinelli. This is their little pica, maybe. No, this might be the pica. I'm sorry. I don't have my cheat sheet of coupons in front of me that told me all their names. But anyways, there's Can Cook, a Chinese knockoff version of this for like $20. But they're fantastic little knives. And they call this like a surgical scalpel. I don't normally like Tonto tips. See that? The Tonto? The Tonto is when a blade kind of has this edge geometry, like it goes straight and then it angles. Sorry. It goes flat and then goes up at that angle. I hate that design almost always. It serves a purpose, predominantly armor piercing in a sense. Most people just don't wear knife armor anymore, which is very good for you and for me and for anyone else. Linen armor, if you didn't know. Good armor, resourceful armor, linen, layered linen. It's worked for thousands of years. Moderately cheap, efficient, and it's really tough to go through, especially with swords. Really hard. So, anyways, side note, I'm full of those all the time with regular occurrences. But tiny blades give you the opportunity to defend yourself from a bad day, and you can put them in places that big blades just you can't really hide this very easily. You can try. I've tried. Lots of people I know have tried, and you can still do it. People take it into combat all the time. But a lot of places, if you carry a knife this big concealed about your person, you're going to jail. Where lots of people have concealed blades also. Another practical place for you to remember this in. Prison shanks, right? Creative tools for highly motivated individuals. So, tiny knives like this one, which has a mounting clip called the utility clip. Oh, you can see it. Fantastic. Highly recommended. My favorite clip about of any of them out there. And it's thin and it's discreet and it comes in different sizes. You can scale it up for your big hoss knives that some of you like to carry, or your other heavier tools that go bang. These are great little clips, and they allow you to put this and position this literally anywhere that you can clip it onto. Yeah, just like that. Knife in your hand. It's just practically goes anywhere you want to. Down your drawers tends to be one of the best places ever. About your waist belt area, for most people, is where you want to keep your tools. It's just practical. It's about where your hands extend to, normally when you're standing around and looking casual. Because that's really kind of the fundamental basics of concealing knives about your person, is not looking like you're the knife guy. And you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever been out and about and noticed that guy who just screams, "Tactical, I'm a squared away individual, and I'm ready for a situation all the time." They always, almost with regularity, have massive knives, flashlights, tactical pants, backpacks, tactical straps, paracord, all that stuff that screams, "I'm probably carrying a gun." Also, there's lots of indicators that give everybody else around you clues into what you're doing and what you're all about. So it's the concealability of a knife allows you the opportunity to not ever allow that thought to enter most people's minds, because they just, first of all, can't see it. That's important. Make it hidden. Oh, we're going to read from the Bible today, because we're going to read about left-handed assassins and where they hid their blades about their person and effected great, massive retribution towards a totally wicked, monstrous, barbaric family, king, and dynasty. So we're going to get there. But concealable blades go places around your waist belt predominantly. That tends to be the best area to conceal tools on. And if you're not a huge individual, I'm not like a massive man. Some guys can hide huge pieces of toolkit around their waist because they have massive body sizes and they can pull off a triple extra large shirt. Whereas if I go large on a shirt, I'm swimming in it. You can see my other videos where I've lost like 15 pounds in the tropical sun of Florida, and I'm swimming in shirts constantly. But big billowy clothing is also an indicator that someone might just be very mobile, dexterous, and they like to throw kicks, short kicks, raking the shin kicks, stomping on heels, stomping with your heels on the top of feet kicks. That's a good one. But sometimes you wear baggy clothing to hide things, other times just to hide your physical capability that I can kick to your ear. Met those guys. They're uncomfortable, but not because they wear comfy pants. Anyways, I get distracted. Okay, blades that are hidden on your person, you almost always want to keep them about your waistline. Your waistline is a fantastic space because you can get to it readily, easily, and it's a place you go to every day, all the time, every time you take your pants off to go potty. And I know sometimes that's should be happening at least once or twice a day, even for you man folk. You should practice taking your pants on and off. Oh wait, you have. Brilliant. Because of that, you now have a tactical advantage of that preconditioned mindset like we talked about earlier, where your body has already been doing something so many times that it just comes to you without even thinking about it, like reaching towards your belt, which you should be wearing a belt to hold your pants on, to hold your tools on, like this. This is a great little tool. If you notice, most of my concealed blades, or any blade that you want to conceal, are black. That's just because black draws less, it doesn't reflect light. And that's really important. The blade, once it's out, that's going to reflect some light, but then it's in your hand. And by then it's a totally different day for the other people. They're not going to be as concerned about that flashy thing in your hand as much as they are about, they never saw it before that moment. That's the key. We're always going for less attention until we need vast, massive amounts of attention immediately. So this is a Gosh, that just blanked right out. It's a design blade. I don't even, wow, sorry. I'm 2.5 quarts lower than I was expecting to be for this conversation to happen successfully. Oh man, I'm most befuddled by that. I really can't remember what this is called. Anyways, a guy named Southnark designs this. Oh, almost had it. No, it's going to come back sooner or later. Fail. Anyways, I got to move on. But this blade is really designed to be concealed very discreetly right about your waistline, and it can be used for reverse gripping. Yeah, that means the blade's backwards towards my body, which is a different purpose. This way, right, which is predominantly when you're wearing a seatbelt and in a car. This one is positioned right about your appendix line on your front end by your belly button. Because if you wear a waist belt in a car, how are you going to access and draw your piece that's sitting pinched against the seat? So, like this one. It's tight quarters in here. Like this one. That's a great spot. That's generally where I carry almost all of my knives, always. That's my practical draw spot. I just like to get there to get tools and be able to make it work. That's one of the best places. But this one, on the other hand, you can just put on your front seats. Whoop! Right there. So then you can draw it just like this, or even like this, or like this, or like this. It gives you 4 different options. Oh, I'm in a terribly tight quarters. I live in a rectangle, if you didn't know that. But when you can draw it from different angles, it makes it very helpful because sometimes your left hand is really busy right then, as in holding on to somebody else as hard as you've ever held on to somebody else in all your life, or trying to make sure that guy's pokey bits aren't about to go into your face, because some other times people carry knives in those non-permissive environments where firearms aren't allowed. Remember, most of the world, it's not really realistic you're going to have a gun almost ever. Really. Trust me. I've been to places in the world where if you're found with a gun, you're going to be murdered immediately. Like, actually just be killed if you're caught with one. So, really, knives, generally an explainable tool that most people can carry still, in most parts of the world. But carrying them about your person around the waist belt area is phenomenal. It's one of your best places you can stash things and conceal them. But if you're going to conceal them, we also got to talk a little bit about clothing. Dressing for the tool rather than just dressing for the weather. Yeah, because sometimes it's hot. Sometimes it's insufferably hot. Like the worst kind of tropical sun heat, but you still are going to probably need to dress for your tools, not for your comfort. So I am a big fan of undershirts if possible. It's not always probable. You can scratch the undershirt a lot of times because it's just another area you can hide stuff in. And then the long sleeve shirt with your sleeves rolled up, because that gives me options like sunscreen, nature sunscreen. It's called clothing. Put it on your body. Stop putting poison on your skin. Nanoparticulate sunscreen always ruined your body's ability to prevent sunburn. Did you ever think about that being a better business idea? Maybe people thought, how can we sell people poison? Let's tell them the sun's going to kill them. Brilliant! It's there every day. It's a marketing strategy that's definitely going to come up every single day, no matter where you are around the world, basically. There's some debatable areas about where sunlight is and where it's not. But sunscreen, it's a marketing ruinous thing to poison your body's natural ability to produce things like melanin, nature sunscreen. If you saw the morning sunrise, your body will actually start to produce all kinds of wonderful natural sunscreens for you. But in lieu of that, and your body just being from the northern lands and you burn like immediately on exposure to sunlight, wear long sleeves. And when it's not sunny, roll them up. Brilliant. Same thing with bugs. They're fierce and ferocious and full of all kinds of nasty, vile, icky, disgusting bits. I can't stand the amount of bugs that are in the tropical environments, but it's a part of life. So wear long sleeves. Also, wear pants, actual pants. Pants that are designed to survive you bending over and kneeling more than once. There's a lot of people that think they're wearing pants when they're just wearing what we always called long underwear forever. But hey, they're comfy. Life's not about comfort. It's about effectiveness. So be ready to be uncomfortable, because sometimes when you carry concealed blades, they're definitely uncomfortable. But it's a lot more uncomfortable to be on that end of that than to be in this in your pocket, right? So consider your options. That being said, one of the other areas and places you can carry a knife about your person under that shirt is going to be around your neck. So right on your chest, I already did a little video on this called fixed blade, maybe on fixed blades, but I hate neck knives that hang on a string like this. They're absolutely, they're dumb. They're dumb. They're absolutely inept. They're not beneficial. They don't behoove me. But if you see, if I pull them and make them 4, I suddenly have like a spot for my arms to go in, and then it goes around my head. So I instead I'll just show you. See, but you didn't know. But this one sits just like that. See, black holsters, great holster. But this one sits the same way. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have different holes for mounting this in different orientations, so the blade sits in different ways, so that I can draw it like this or like this. There's not a lot of options. Or like this. This isn't the most option-friendly knife. It's a karambit, another Bastinelli. Terrifying little blade. But once again, back to the get off me blades. Very effective for that. When someone wants to wrestle with you and you really would like to make sure they know that that's not welcome at this time, this is a great way to do that. This is how you can hold it, tie it onto yourself. You'll have to go look at my other one. Anyways, I have straps going around this way and around here, and it comes up behind my neck. Boop. And that allows me to put a blade and keep it on my chest even when I'm running or jumping, diving, ducking, dodging. I'm trying to make dodgeball references, but I got this all snaggled on my necklace. Oh, moderately embarrassing. I'm wearing too much cordage on my neck, but it's okay. It's the end of the world, so why not? Anyways, there we go. This is a different necklace I'll have to talk about. Armor piercing round. Fantastic. We'll get to that when we get to the bangsies. But for now, the blades that sit on your chest give you the ability to get them coming up under your shirt or even down over your shirt, and it allows you the ability to get to a blade in a situation where nobody else knows that's coming, because people also who know that you might have a knife or a gun are generally going to be watching your hands going towards your waist, which is why there's another convenient place you can carry blades that's biblical. So we're going to consult the sword of the Spirit for a minute. That's this one. If you don't know about this, this is quite seriously the sharpest sword ever. It actually says that. It's the sharpest. It's sharper than any sword that's ever been. And it's true. And did you know that if you read it, you could find stories about how to hide blades about your person? Concealable. Did you know that there's concealable blade talk in the Bible? There's hammer talk. There's literally how to smuggle spies in here. There's all kinds of wonderful trade tricks that are in the Bible that most people just don't read because they don't think about that like a career choice like some of us did. But some of you did, and some of you need to now. Think about whether or not you're going to be somebody who's willing to smuggle spies in and out of places where non-permissive environments might happen because you carry one of these. I'm reading a book, I don't have it near me, which is called The Insanity of God. And it's by Nick Ripkin. And that's talking about places all over the world where the persecution is so severe for what people believe and how they live their life that they're hunted, like seriously hunted. So in lieu of that, I'm trying to put together a little crash course on how to maybe endure some of those situations. Like we're going to deal with book ciphers and communications methods and how to gather in a home church or how to smuggle these in and out of a country and all kinds of stuff. There will be a variety of talk here. But for now, we're getting to Ehud. Now, this is a Bible. Sorry. This is Judges chapter 3. Because if you haven't read Judges, you really ought to read Judges as quickly as you can, because it's one of the most incredible books. And all y'all out there that are all about the apostles and the Acts and the amazing things that happen in the New Testament, in the whole Bible, you should read the whole thing, because you can't go through the book of Acts until you go through the book of Judges. Why don't you just read your Bible from the beginning? You don't start in Matthew. Don't. Just start in the page that says, in the beginning. It'll be a game changer for you. Start today. Phone a friend, read a Bible, and learn how to hide blades about your person sneakily. All right. Well, okay. It says, we're going to just jump in and start at verse 11. Okay, and the land had rest for 40 years. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. Now the sons of Israel again did evil in the sight of Yahweh. So Yahweh strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of Yahweh. And he gathered to himself the sons of Ammon and Amalek, and he went and defeated Israel. Amalek, I was about to discourse into giant talk and Nephilim and bloodlines and the ones that still do that kind of stuff today. But I digress. Now the sons of And the sons of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the sons of Israel cried out to Yahweh, Yahweh raised up a deliverer for them. Ehud, the son of Gera, the Benjamite, a left-handed man. That's going to be super critical as we go on here. Ready? Ehud, this is so cool. And the sons of Israel sent tribute by Ehud to Eglon, the king of Moab. Tribute is like you got to pay you got to pay the piper, if you know what I mean. You got to pay up something to somebody. And so you just send them a nice little gift so they don't crush your head, right? It's reasonable. Ehud made for himself a sword which had 2 edges, and it was a cubit in length, about the length of your arm. And he bound it on his right thigh under his cloak, under his garment. Brilliant. He presented the tribute to Eglon, the king of Moab. Now Eglon was a very fat man. And it came about when he had finished presenting the tribute that he sent away the people who had carried the tribute. But he himself turned back from the idols which were at Gilgal and said, I have a secret message for you, O king. And he said, keep silence. And all who attended left him. Ehud came to him while he was sitting alone in his cool roof chamber. And Ehud said, I have a message from Yahweh for you. And he arose from his seat, and Ehud stretched out his left hand and took the sword from his right thigh and thrust it into his belly. The handle also went in after the blade, and the fat closed over the blade, for he did not draw the sword out of his belly, and the refuse came out. Then Ehud went into the vestibule and shut the doors of the roof chamber behind him and locked them. When he had gone out, his servants came and looked, and behold, the doors of the roof chamber were locked. And they said, he is only relieving himself in the cool room. That's the bathroom. They waited until they became anxious, but behold, he did not open the doors of the roof chamber. Therefore they took the key and opened them, and behold, their master had fallen to the floor dead. Now Ehud escaped while they were delaying. Brilliant. And he passed by the idols and escaped to Sariah. And it came about when he had arrived that he blew the shofar in the hill country of Ephraim, and the sons of Israel went down with him from the hill country, and he was in front of them. And he said to them, pursue them, for Yahweh has given your enemies, the Moabites, into your hands. So they went down after him and seized the fords of the Jordan opposite Moab and did not allow anyone to cross. They struck down at that time about 10,000 Moabites, all robust and valiant men, and no one escaped. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land was undisturbed for 80 years. Wow. Lots of tidbits in there. I'm going to try to not rabbit hole too much, but first of all, did you notice a few things in there? Like, the guy made himself a sword. First of all, why do you think Ehud had to make the sword? First of all, material resources, probably moderately limited. We don't have a good, strong knowledge that people were definitely plentiful in metal like they are now. We have so much metal, we throw it in the garbage. Back then, not so much. Oh, I don't have it with me here. I'll show you guys some bits of really old edges and blades that have been around a long time. And how much work it takes to make one? Tremendous. That means Ehud learned a craft. He learned a trade and a skill that most likely he didn't have because he was left-handed. More often than not, left-handed folks had serious drawbacks in their life, like career options were genuinely limited. Some people, for different times and eras and religious cultures and ideologies, actively hunted people that were left-handed just because they did that. That was like totally jacked up. But it gave Ehud options, and options are everything. And Ehud made a decision when the Spirit of the Lord came on him to make something a good tool. He made a great tool. He made a double-edged dagger. And I don't have a double-edged. This is the closest. He made one of these that was about the length of his arm, right? He made a dagger or a prison shank, right? You get what I'm going at here. There's so many concealable blade talks. I get distracted. He made himself a sword that had 2 edges because 2 edges cut 4 times as effectively as 1. Really. When you go in, it's cutting all the time, both ways. And if you give it a quarter turn, and then it cuts a lot more often with unbelievable amounts of devastation. And so Ehud, he definitely played sneaky here, folks. He's got some game, some serious game. And that's really important because if you're going to carry concealed blades about your person, you're going to need to have some game, like real game, like the ability to not be indicating or giving off what are called pre-attack indicators. We'll get into that when we talk about combatives and psychology of combatives. Pre-attack indicators are clues that other people who might be trained and highly vigilant and good at guarding, like a bodyguard for King Eglon, didn't pick up on. Pre-attack indicators are things like snarling. Like there's involuntary facial movements that happen that give you away that you're about to do something with such malice or premeditated intent to cause harm to somebody else that your body itself tells everyone what you're about to do. Like these kind of things, the flaring of the nostrils, opening up really wide, these certain muscles being activated in your face to create almost a snarl, your teeth being bared, almost like rage, violent, malice, all these different furrowing of the brows. There's all kinds of indicators that give a clue that something bad is about to go down with rapidity. Ehud, though, he kept it cool. He kept it calm. And he kept himself collected because what he had to do was hide a big 18-inch knife, sword, like this on his thigh, and then go about his business like normal. If you haven't done that and you need to learn, you should probably start practicing sooner rather than later. Probably learn how to do this before it's like your life depends on it. But I guarantee you, Ehud spent some time practicing and preparing with that blade long before he got to that moment. And so he concealed it about his undergarments on his right thigh. Now, even if Ehud had good vigilant bodyguards that did a pat down, it was literally almost unthinkable for people to carry knives on their person in certain spots of the body. There's just natural things we have when we go to search somebody or look through somebody's stuff. And there's areas of their body we just generally don't think somebody's going to hide something there. Like, there's some places you definitely don't want to look to see if somebody hid something there. But that's the law enforcement guys, and guys who work in prisons have to deal with that a lot more than I'm comfortable with. So anyways, Ehud, he strapped it to his right thigh. He then was able to isolate the king of Moab, got him away because Ehud had one blade against the king's army. That'd be like his boss fighters. You definitely don't want to have to get into a serious engagement with one blade. Really, it's a big goal not to have to do this when everybody else around you has spears or firearms, right? Because I've got like a 40-foot collar that I can generally be quicker than a firearm with. But inside that window or outside that window, if somebody's got a ranged tool and they notice that you're about to come at them, you're generally going to lose that fight. So he isolated him. He got him up to a quiet place. He got close to him, and then he was able to close that distance really rapidly by saying, "I have a secret." And he was basically whispering in his ear, which set him up for a killing blow. And we're going to talk real quick about killing blows. Killing blows are blows that are designed to kill with absolute rapidity, meaning somebody needs to die immediately. Like you need an off button. and you're about to push it. There's some off buttons that you can reach with this little guy that are immediate game enders. There's a lot more that you can reach if you have a bigger sword. So Ehud, you hear, was a super fat man, as in so generously large he could swallow an 18-inch blade inside his stomach cavity. That's enormous. There's some people that big out there, which is why some blades are designed to be longer, like the Fairbairn and Sykes dagger I show you guys a lot. That one was basically designed to pierce and penetrate through somebody in winter clothing, like heavy wool jackets in Russia when it was the Soviet Union and German soldiers were everywhere. Or just the heart of Russian winters, which are fierce and brutal. And how are you going to penetrate a trench coat? That's why they make a sword a certain length. That's why you make some blades very specific lengths. Like a cubit's length was also so he could reach an area of the king's body with this killing blow, which is called your abdominal aorta. The abdominal aorta is generally one of your main targets when you're going to discuss killing blows. He went for it, and he did that by using a double-edged weapon to pierce through all of the fat and muscle and sinew. I don't know how much sinew's in there, but there's a big digestive tract that also can get in the way. And so he used a dagger to be able to penetrate through all of that and get to the abdominal aorta. And that thing is the immediate game ender. That's like a stop in just a couple of seconds kind of button. Not immediately, but pretty much it's an off switch. And you cannot recover from that apart from a divine act of the great physician. You're gonna die almost immediately. So that's where all the blood from your heart down kind of starts, boom, going straight down. I mean, it's an incredibly massive flow rate coming out of that pipe. And that is what Ehud targeted. He targeted that for his killing blow. He made his blow. He struck it so well and into him so deeply because his edges were so sharp. Go back to my video on Get Edgy and learn how to sharpen your blades that sharp. Because if it's not even a little bit sharp enough, when you go to try to make a killing blow with like a tiny little blade, you need to make sure that edge is as sharp as it could possibly be. Like so sharp that you have confidence that it will do everything it was designed to do in that moment. Absolutely and guaranteed. So when he did that and made that striking blow, the blade gets stuck inside the guy's stomach. His stomach and all of his fat literally encloses his entire dagger. Generally, rule number one is to not leave the blade behind. But when it goes inside another human being and you got to leave it there, situations call for rapid thinking. Ehud then made a speedy escape, and that's really important. He'd set him up for a good out. You always need a good out, but sometimes it's a one-way mission, and you figure out the out when you're there. He made his way out and got out very well. Made it all the way out to where his army was gathered, sneakily style, because that means there had been an entire intelligence. This was a huge operation, folks. He did a lot of stuff ahead of time in order to make sure that one single moment in time went down right, and then he could capitalize on it, which was the turning of the tide and bringing in reinforcements. Because then I bet he had other blades and lots of other dudes with other blades, like arrows and swords and spears and javelins, and or just maybe rocks, because those also work and you can take down entire nations with rocks. But because of that, Ehud made a great victory for Israel and gave them peace for 80 years. One sword, one guy, one moment in time made a huge deliverance for a lot of people. So concealable blades give you those kinds of options in your life. The sword of the Spirit will give you even greater options, and I hope you learn to use it. I just wanted to make sure people had a realistic understanding of why that story is so important. And maybe next time you go to read through the scriptures and it talks about these crazy moments in time where somebody picked up a donkey's jawbone and slew 1,000 man, like just slaughtered 1,000 humans with a donkey's jawbone. That's a different kind of edge, right? That's a totally different kind of edge. If you've ever been in hand-to-hand combat once, just one time, how it is, if you've ever wrestled, like really wrestled like your brother as hard as you possibly could, really trying to win. If you've ever wrestled for 15 minutes, 8 minutes, is that a set match? Minutes, they're a matter of minutes. It takes an enormous amount of time to kill 1,000 people by hand with a donkey's jawbone. I reckon. I wasn't there to personally witness it, but I've personally witnessed how long it takes other violent encounters to go down and how exhausting it is. It's unbelievable. It's just a miracle if you can do that a few times. And even that the donkey's jawbone survived that long. That, to me, is basically the most important part of the story. And then, When he was so exhausted, he called upon the Lord, and he asked him, I need water so bad or I'm going to die. This is, he says, after he killed 1,000 people with the jawbone. But then the Lord opened the space in the jawbone, and the water came out. It doesn't just say he split the rock. If you look closely, it actually says it opened up out of the donkey's jawbone. So not only did that jawbone provide him the ability to slay 1,000 humans, it also gave him water to quench his thirst afterwards, because battle fatigue is real. Anyways, the Bible is full of stories like that, and if you've been to the other side, you should look at the Bible like that, because God healed me through stories like that to make me not think I'm just the worst human that ever lived, because violence leaves a mark. Killing always leaves a mark. It's about what we do with that mark. If we want to bear the mark of Cain the rest of our life, or if we want to bear a new mark, like go read Ezekiel 9 and learn about a new mark that we should all bear. It's people that moan and grieve and weep and cry out against the abominations that they see around them. It's the people that hate seeing radical, intelligent, evil thrive. It's a good mark that the Father can give you. So that's the mark you want to be sealed with now. But I digress. If there's anything else you guys want to know about, I encourage you, it would behoove you if you emailed me, because sometimes I rabbit trail and I lose sight of what it was I was trying to tell you guys a long time ago. But when it came back to, I guess, the concealability of the blades, Ehud hid it under his garments. He strapped them to his legs. Let's just see. There's all kinds of ways you can strap things to your legs. I don't, it's hard to do this without standing up, but you can imagine this goes on your leg. These are holsters people wear on their legs. Sometimes these are for the tools that go bang. Soft holsters are dangerous. They're very liable to ruin your day and not be something you can depend on to really, keep something from pulling the trigger through a fabric. Rule number 1 for a holster, you shouldn't be able to pull the trigger through it. Really. You shouldn't be able to make it go bang by pushing on it. So I don't recommend soft fabric holsters, except for this area of your body, because you can't really wear a hard plastic chunk on your leg and conceal it easily. But holsters out there like this give you options, like putting this on your person and then having spots for tucking blades and other kit, like a tourniquet or a first aid kit, because that might be genuinely more important for anything other than carrying another knife or another gun around on yourself. So that tends to be what that service is a blowout med kit in a lot of ways. There's better ones out there, but that's just the one I happen to have, and they're reasonably cheap. Another area to carry these blades on your person is near your neck. Normally, not a good idea to put sharp blades right next to your throat. One of the other killing blow spaces we'll talk about is going to be these ones. These are, I know, very movie popular killing spots. They don't work the same way you think they do in movies. Neither does the slitting of throats and all that. It's just not the same as what the movies make it out to be. Some of the movies may have more accurate representation, but I don't recommend you watching accurate representations unless that's something you absolutely categorically must do. But this is called a lapel dagger. Lapel daggers are places. They're daggers that are literally made to be sewn on, or so. I don't know if you can see that super well. There's tiny little holes there for sewing and threading, because a lot of dagger and blade time should also be a time for you to learn how to sew, because there are blades involved there. You need to learn how to sew. I'm going to learn how to sew. I don't know that I'll take you along with me on that journey, because I'm moderately embarrassed that I don't really know how to sew well. But I need to learn how to sew, and so do you. If you're ever going to strap a leg to your thigh, you're going to have to make a holster so it doesn't cut your leg off. Seriously, figure out how to sew. Lapel daggers. This one is made of a type of hard plastic. Not so sharp. Not sharp at all, but pokey. And these, like we talked about earlier, are backup blades. These are blades that are designed to be carried about your person, hidden and covert. Lapel daggers sit in your lapel. Another reason why you should wear a button-down long-sleeve shirt with the sleeves rolled up most of the time, because then you can have blades even sewn into your collar that nobody would think of. Not nobody, but some, most people. But then the blade can sit all the way up in there and tucked away as a way to also reinforce and puff out your collar and make you look like a stud when you're wearing a three-piece suit. I've done a lot of executive bodyguarding protection where I drive around super wealthy people. Maybe not wealthy people, just people who have enough money to afford it, or their boss and their company does. But in that, you have to wear really nice shirts and nice jackets and well-tailored clothing. So if you're going to get good clothing, get it tailored by someone you can trust to help you to conceal blades about your person. Every one of you needs a good tailor. If you don't know one, be one. become one. Then find a way to tailor your clothing so it fits you properly and then fits the tools even better. But lapel daggers are right here, and they're placed there so that you can access them in a pinch, because these are pinch daggers. You literally pinch them. They're no thumb guard here. No thumb guard. You got this little kind of extended space here where your thumb can grip onto, or other fingers. It's really just made for your thumb. You hold it kind of flat like that. And then some folks will encourage others to use this little tie down lashing spot to put a piece of paracord like this, but the thinner stuff like this. Maybe I could build my kit while I'm wearing it out of what I'm wearing. Multi-purpose, multi-options. This ties around your thumb and it gives you a little anchor point, and you can actually have it lashed around your thumb, and so then it'll lock a little more securely in there. Anyways, this is one of those tools that you use when you're being, about to be detained. Not talking about legal situations. I'm only talking about non-permissive environments where you definitely don't want to be detained even a little bit. Not for one moment. I must simply get out of here as quickly as possible kind of moments. This is where that shines, because this gives you options like poking somebody in the ear hole. That's one of those other places where you have an off switch right up in there. We'll get to that. But lapel daggers, they're fantastic. They're tiny. This one's not made of metal. My other one, which is operational, is definitely made of metal. It's made by Spartan Blades. Highly recommended company. Phenomenal. Mostly phenomenal quality. Mostly phenomenal. For they're definitely one of those super steel users and custom kind of talk. They've got better marketing, so they charge a lot of money. But they make very good quality knives. Knives you can depend your life on. Knives I have personally defended my life on. That being said, I don't necessarily think you have to have a lapel dagger. I'm just giving you options, folks. This one was like $10. Far more budget friendly. Far more non-ferrous. It's not magnetic. It doesn't give off signal if you walk through a screening device that tells everybody you're wearing blades. That's their big limitation. But there's options out there for blades that you can use for practice and for drills. This one doesn't have a blunted tip, so I wouldn't totally recommend it for drills. We'll get to training, I guess. That'll be a training video. We'll get there. But anyways, those are some of my sneaky places and where to hide them. Remember, knives that have clips have options in how to carry them. Folding blades give you a way to carry sneaky blades all about your person all the time, and generally down in your pocket and exactly where you want them to be. But I covered that in folding talk. That's about it, folks. Now, if you had any other questions, if you would want me to cover a topic maybe that I haven't covered yet, or if there's anything you would really like me to not ever talk about, I'm not as interested in that part because I'm probably going to say it anyways. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope that you live safe. By that I mean be absolutely dangerous with every potential option that you can. Don't be a doofus, but definitely be strategic, because the days are evil, but you were more made and born for such a time as this. I look forward to seeing you again. Be vigilant, be on guard, and be faithful to the calling and the purpose that you were put here for. Also, if you haven't, go make a knife. You can use a file and another file. Guys have been doing it with rocks, with other rocks from the beginning. You got to learn how to make a knife. Even if you're bored and you're cold and you're sitting in your house and you're all cooped up and you're miserable and you're tired of playing video games and Netflix because they're worthless and they're eating your soul, go do something with your own hands. Go work by the sweat of your brow and learn a skill set like sewing. And it'll change your life and potentially allow you to be a deliverer who the Father can raise up for such a time as this. I love you. I care about you. Be on guard.